it's a good segue from Skyrim because you did a really great feature video on when remasters change too much of the original game, which is an interesting take on it because we're always talking about, are they just cash cows? Are they just developers, publishers cashing in on existing stuff that they can just, port almost? But I don't know, I wanted to pick your brain a little more. It's a great video. You can go watch on GameSpot.com or YouTube. But at what point, I guess, you kind of came to the conclusion that sometimes remasters can kind of sacrifice what made the original game great and also not really preserve it as well. I know you brought up Doom 3. Can you talk about that specific example?
Doom 3 is definitely one that irks me because I think the original Doom 3 is kind of infamous for its flashlight. You can't use it and the gun at the same time, and that bothered a lot of people. And I mean, if you're a fan of the original Dooms, that is very understandable. Doom 3 is a completely different game than those original Dooms or even current Doom now. But it kind of makes that game unique. It gives that game its own identity. So, people would have there's the duct tape mod, which, we're going to just attach the flashlight to the gun through mods. And that's fine if you want to mod a game. That's your own business. Mm-hmm. But then when they did that remaster, BFG edition in 2012, so that was 8 years later, they just were like, hey, that mod, it's just official. This is how the game is. And they, not even a menu option. And I think that's the part that actually bugged me about it, was that you couldn't choose whether you wanted to play it in the old style or the new style. It's just, here's the new style. This is how the game, it was almost like them saying no, this is how we always meant the game to be. It just,
they really, realized their mistake in retrospect.
They're backpedaling on it. But the problem is everything about that, the game is designed around that original flashlight. The way the monster closets and the scares and the lighting, it's all designed around not being able to use the gun and the flashlight at the same time. So when you suddenly can just have the flashlight out whenever you want, it's none of the tension's there anymore.
Yeah, I played a lot of Doom 3 myself, and I remember liking the flashlight a lot because even when I had the flashlight out and could see around, there's always in the back of my mind knowing that at any moment I have to swap really quickly to a gun and then try to shoot someone in the dark, and that was great. It lent itself well to the horror roots of that game, I think.
Totally.
And I never played the duct tape mod, and I didn't play BFG in 2012. I think you said it released. I don't know, but that was interesting to look at how it's weird. It's like striking a balance with these remasters between preserving what made the original game, what lent it its character, but also kind of updating it for modern palettes. And you also brought up the BioShock Remastered Collection, BioShock 1 specifically, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, that one's the more noticeable one. 2 also has some changes as well, but I like 2, but no one else cares about 2.
I like BioShock 2.
Me too.
We'll figure out a way to talk about more about it.
That one's really minor, honestly. You look at a lot of it, and it's I think the gameplay is still there. That game plays the same, although it's also really buggy. That port is somehow worse. Mm-hmm. I was playing it recently, and they patched it, and before I actually didn't have that many problems with the remaster, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I've heard people have had problems. I was fine. They did a patch. I then tried to play it again, and all the audio was broken. It's they made it worse. But that one, they just do weird texture changes where it's oh, hey, there's this carpet that was in this floor, and now it's just not there. And I mean, it doesn't change the game. BioShock's still BioShock. But at a certain point, you just kind of looking at it and you're so were they just looking at this room and thinking, well, we got to change something about it to make it worth the $60 or whatever it is you're paying for this. So I guess we'll change the carpet and, that texture's a little different now.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 is also a really good one. The PC version of Resident Evil 4, which, it's a good version of that game, but the textures, you look at them and they're actually very different. The wood texture looks completely different. And a lot of fans, they're actually doing a mod to restore the original textures in higher res, which is really weird that we now have mods that are no, this is the true HD master. And then Doom 3, actually the same thing. A lot of modders did a modded version of original Doom 3 to make it a better version than the BFG edition that actually kept the flashlight and all that stuff. It's super weird.
So this is the difference. What you just described represents the difference between a publisher and someone who cares about a game as a customer, as someone who is experiencing this. Because publishers do not act based on altruism. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're there to make money. So if they focus test a thing and it's oh yeah, people prefer this now, that's the way they're going to do it, and totally grounds for us to feel that sucks.
Yeah.
But it's never going to be a scenario where the publisher really cares enough about preserving the game so much as being able to package it in an attractive way. And you got to imagine as well, like, 8 years, 10 years after the fact, these companies that have totally different teams working on the game, there's no one there to like, who even has the power to stand up and say, I believe in this and you all have to listen to me.
Sure.
Like it really sucks. It really, really does suck.
Leads me to what I think is universally accepted as a huge blunder. You mentioned the video, and then you could speak to this as well. Final Fantasy VI on mobile. Did you ever play it, Pete?
For like a minute.
Because then you saw it and then couldn't stand it,
It's
right?
grotesque.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Even as someone who never played the original, I mean, I've seen the artwork and it's gorgeous. It still is. We're looking at that right now. But once it went to mobile, you had were those time lapses yours, or did you find a video where someone did this?
I did that.
It's really cool looking. Yeah, he changed the background itself. He said it looks like it's just traced over now, and then the character models become really ugly. I don't like it, and I've never played Final Fantasy VI. It just seems pretty egregious. I don't know like how much of it is a result of having to have on mobile devices. Can you have like the original pixel art on mobile devices?
Totally.
Yeah, no, I mean this isn't, and what's worse is like this isn't even bad because they altered what was original. It's bad because they altered it with something that just looks objectively worse.
Yeah.
That's just ugly. No one can look at this unless they need glasses and they're not wearing them and say, oh yeah, this passes the test.
Yeah.
Like this looks like shit.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if they like completely redid it, like, new art style, like new interpretation, but I had like a cohesive vision. Like this is because the background looks like kind of the old art, but then like smudgy, and then like there's new characters, and like there's just no consistency to any of it. It looks really bad.
And it totally illustrates the point I was just making, because Final Fantasy VI is one of the most beloved console games of all time, and the company who owns it doesn't even freaking realize it and understand what they have. Like a fan could have ported the game to mobile better than them.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And the part that really, I think, just like drives the stake in for me is that that's the version on Steam. Like if you want to go play it on Steam, it's the mobile port. They just took that and ported it to Steam. And that is Square Enix saying, this is what we consider to be like the definitive version going forward for Final Fantasy VI.
Which sucks for people that enjoy games in general and good-looking things. But especially for me, I've never played Final Fantasy VI, and if it were preserved as it looked on mobile devices, or if they had ported the original version over to mobile devices, I would play it on my phone probably.
The best way for you to play it now without resorting to emulators is to play the Game Boy Advance port.
Yeah.
Because even the PlayStation port sucks. It's got horrible loading times.
What about the Virtual Console version?
Oh, is it on Virtual Console?
It is on Virtual Console.
Well, there you go.
Let's do that.
I think you could do that.
That is the original version.
That is something I like about Nintendo. Is I also talk about how they've been doing like remasters of Zelda games, and they make changes, like the fast sale and
the iron boots are now an item instead of an equipment.
Totally, which is like makes that whole puzzle like so less tedious. But even if you don't like some of those changes, they have all of those original versions on the Virtual Console, so you can still go load up like the N64 version of Ocarina, or like the GameCube version of Wind Waker is still accessible. Like Nintendo at least gives you the ability to go play those original versions, which I really appreciate.
And you also brought up the Halo Master Chief Collection, which despite the like numerous bugs at the beginning with multiplayer and whatnot, and even some freezes of the game, which I believe have all been fixed now, at least I hope. I really like that collection because you just, for the first game, the Halo Anniversary Edition of Combat Evolved, you just press the back button and it shows you the original. From what I understand, they're running the code along, like behind the new one, so you can just switch between them or something.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
That, as much as I don't care about Halo, I'm super impressed by the effort they put into making that possible.
From my limited knowledge, that sounds like a lot of work, and I know like that sounds like they actually took the time to preserve it, obviously, because it's the original game. Once you go back in, it's the sound effects too. Like it goes back to the original assault rifle sound effects. It used to be this throaty kind of growl in the first game, then it became this like rat-a-tat kind of thing. But if you switch back, I don't know, it's crazy. It also makes you realize how much better it looks because you could just swap between them. But yeah, that was an awesome like remaster collection in general.
And LucasArts and Double Fine have been doing a great job with the old
like the adventure games.
Yeah, point-and-click adventure games. So like Monkey Island lets you switch between the old art style and the new art style.
Sure.
And then they also like added voice acting, and then they'll even do cool mixes where like, hey, do you want to play with the old art style, but you also want to play with the voice acting? You can do stuff like that. You can play with the tank controls if you want for Grim Fandango, or you can play with like new controls. Like I like that they give you the option to play these like in a more modern way that like most players will probably just play Grim Fandango with like modern controls. Like they won't even touch those tank controls, and they probably wouldn't like them. But having that option for those players who played those original games, I think is really important.
Sure. And it's kind of like more pertinent now. We have this year we had Gears of War Ultimate Edition. We had the Uncharted Collection. Sorry, that was last year, but it's still recent. We had Skyrim now, and then we have System Shock's another one you mentioned, which again the original game's controls were pretty awful. And I remember I did this like longer feature on Looking Glass Studios who made System Shock, and I remember like going back for research to play System Shock. I played it 2 years ago for the first time with the original controls. Oh my God, I'm glad. I'm hoping they update it for the sake of like anybody who plays that game with the remaster.
They did on Good Old Games. They put out an enhanced version, which like updates the graphics a little bit and added like actual mouse controls.
Sure.
Because I think that game actually like kind of holds up still. Like it's a good, well-designed game. But those original controls, even back then, were like garbage. So
yeah.
Stuff like that's good to have.
Definitely. If you're a fan of like BioShock or Dishonored, that kind of vein of like patient first-person shooters, kind of narrative-driven, you should definitely maybe go back to System Shock if you have time. I would recommend it. Yeah. But yeah, in general, I don't know. We were just talking about Skyrim and how the $60 price point kind of seems like maybe we're being too cynical. But I don't think we are, though. Maybe that kind of seems unjustified. But then you have things like the Master Chief Collection. You have things like System Shock, which preserve the original controls. You have LucasArts and Double Fine doing their, like new voice acting and also just updating their graphics. You can swap between them, just like the Master Chief Collection. Seems like some people are doing it right, preserving the original game. Some people are just kind of trying to cash in, which is unfortunate.
Give a shout out to Frank Cifaldi and Mike Micah, who worked on the Mega Man Legacy Collection, because they not only
that's a great one.
Yeah, they not only ported those games in a way that it's not even. I think it's running the games and they compile dynamically to run on the new processor. Either way, it's like some of the most faithful porting I've ever seen, and they include a ton of historical data, scanning manuals, scanning box art, doing all this stuff that was never available before, and putting that in there. So, if a remaster is supposed to celebrate a game, holy shit, Mega Man Legacy Collection did the best job of that of any game I've seen.
Awesome. I've never played it, I don't think, but definitely.
Never heard of Mega Man?
Mega Man? No, I've never heard of it.
Oh, weird.
What is it like?
You're a blue dude. I think you have a dog. I've never played it either.
Yeah.
I thought that was Mighty Number 9.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Just kidding. All right. So, Jean-Luc, thanks so much for coming on. And like I said, everybody watching and listening on iTunes, where you might be listening to us, go check out Jean-Luc's video. It's When Do Remasters Change Too Much?
Yep.
It's on GameSpot. It's on YouTube. Go check it out. It's a very good watch. But anyway, if you're joining us today, thanks so much. I'm not going to sign off on the whole show yet. I just realized we still got to sign off on Skyrim. I'm getting tired, Pete.
Wake up, Mike.
All right. Anyway, so what do you think of remasters specifically? Let us know what your most favorite one was recently and whether you think that developers should keep cashing in on these things.